Speed Channel welcomes you to Phoenix, Arizona, where it's Bud Pole qualifying for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. 50 cars are entered and took practice to try and make the 43-car field. The track record set in 2000 by Rusty Wallace is in jeopardy today, as it's a nice warm afternoon as the line is set and we're ready to go Bud Pole qualifying. One driver in practice ran under Rusty's track record. He's with Dave Burns.
Again, Ryan Newman fastest in pre-qualifying practice, more than 2/10 quicker than the next fastest car, the only driver in the 134-mile-an-hour zone. Ryan, when you know you've got the best car, as proven earlier today, do you psych yourself up, psych yourself down to make sure you hit it?
Just do the same thing over again, and hopefully nobody else goes any faster. I mean, we got a brand new paint scheme with the Text to Win MVP sweepstakes deal there for Alltel and the Super Bowl, and just look forward to trying to put that on the front row, the pole more or less. But we're just going to do our best. I don't think that anything's going to change that much as far as the weather or the track or anything else. Just need to duplicate that lap, and I think we'll have a good shot at it.
Ryan trying to text P-O-L-E for the 4th time in a row. It happened earlier this year for Jeff Gordon. Ryan trying to stamp his mark with that now. To Marty Snyder.
Dave, I'm up at the front of the grid with the guys who have to go out early. Mark Martin was 8th fastest in practice. Let's find out what he thinks about having to go out early today. Mark, is that a disadvantage today?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what today's like. Yesterday, it wasn't a disadvantage. I don't know. It was either equal all the way through or definitely decent at the start. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to go get my lap, and I want to watch and see how everybody stacks up. Our car's pretty good today, better than usual, and I hope I can qualify a little bit better than average. We'll see what we can do.
All right, let's transition over here to Ray Evernham and talk to him about both of his cars having to go out early. Mark said it's not a disadvantage, but what are the Dodge keys to success here at Phoenix, Ray?
Phoenix is kind of a tricky track. It's really not like any place that we run. You know, people won't say, well, is it like Loudon or is it like Richmond? It's like neither. Some of the corners are a little bit like Pocono. So you're going to see guys with the air dam real low, real soft front springs, but you've got to get through the middle of the corner. They have a tendency here to get tight up off. So you'll see guys with a lot of gear keep that thing turning good up off, and a guy that can get in the gas early, stay in the gas is going to be the guy that's probably going to go home with the trophy today.
Phoenix certainly a unique racetrack, and Larry Mack, what everybody tells me, turn 3 is kind of the issue here at Phoenix.
Well, it is a very unique racetrack, Marty, in that the two ends of it are different. So, Larry, let's answer Marty's question. Do you set up for turn 1? Do you set up for turn 3? Do you worry about the dog leg, or you just hope you get back in one piece?
Well, when it comes to qualifying, you better worry about all of these corners, because it's going to be the guy that hits his marks getting in turn 1, in turn 3, and you carry a tremendous amount of speed, a lot of heavy braking getting into those corners. But like Ray Evernham said, the guy that's car will rotate through the middle of the corner, and you can pick the throttle up and never have to roll out of it. That's going to be the guy that prevails. And normally, you run out of a racetrack over there in turn 2 because you're carrying so much speed onto that backstretch.
Over the last several weeks, we've seen a large entry field. There are new teams. There are established teams running R&D cars and maybe even some auditions for next year. So, Jeff, in the garage area, last week we saw some good teams go home.
Yes, we did, Mike. And I think this week right here when I walked through the garage area, I felt like there's been a renewed interest and urgency as far as qualifying is concerned. It's always a very important part of the equation when it comes to the weekend. But when I got through the garage, I saw guys working extremely hard, making a lot of changes, trying to find speed here because of what happened last week, like Scott Wimmer and Scott Riggs. Again, it may not be that same way here in Phoenix this weekend, but definitely these teams are a lot more on their game as far as qualifying is concerned.
One team has withdrawn, that of Jeffrey Bodine, so 49 cars will be chasing the 43 available positions in Sunday's race. Qualifying coming up. Speed Channel's coverage of Bud Pole qualifying from Phoenix is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. And by Advance Auto Parts. Around these parts, trouble doesn't stand a chance. We're ready in advance. Join Marty Snyder.
Mike, big question of the weekend seems to be, can Jimmie Johnson win his 4th consecutive race? What do you think, Jimmy?
I'm not thinking. Every time I think, I get in trouble. So the way we've approached these last 3 races, we walked in thinking there's no way we have a shot in the world to win this championship. Let's just go have fun, finish up on a strong note. We win 3 in a row. So I'm not thinking about it. I don't care. I'm just going to have fun, drive the wheels off the slows Monte Carlo, and just see what happens.
So you don't look at the points in and say, man, we're closer, obviously.
We know where we're at. We know we're close. But, I mean, there's a burden being the championship leader. And we had it earlier in the year. It felt like, what's his name, Frodo from Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Felt like little Frodo with that big burden. And, now somebody else is carrying the burden. And, the issues with that strike. You look at what happened in the 97 last weekend. I mean, those guys have been solid this whole 10 races and have a motor problem. So, I don't want to lead this championship until the very end of Homestead. If I have a chance to lead it, that would be my wish, is to not have that burden on me until the end.
Jimmy doesn't want the ring until after the race is over at Homestead, Mike.
Jimmy has climbed to second in the standings, just 59 points behind Kurt Busch. Welcome back to Phoenix. Bud Pole qualifying. 49 cars, 43 positions. Tony Raines, who is double dipping. He's in the NASCAR Busch Series race, the Bashas' Supermarkets 300 tomorrow. He'll be our first qualifier, trying to make his 5th start in the Marathon Oil Chevy. He's run 5 Busch and 2 truck races here at Phoenix. He starts 26 tomorrow in the Busch race.
But he was one of the spoilers back at Atlanta last week, because this is somewhat of an independent team. He's actually qualified for the last 2 races at Atlanta and at Lowe's that he's been at. They didn't go to Martinsville, so he was one of kind of the spoilers last week.
And it'll be interesting to see right now, because he was only 38th quickest in practice. So going out first, they said, well, maybe not a big deal, but it could have an effect on whether or not he makes this race or not by the amount of time he's able to cut off his practice speeds from earlier today.
First lap for Raines, 27.71.
That's about what he ran in practice. He actually ran a 27.65, and we possibly could see a lot of these cars maybe run a little quicker on their second lap. I was watching a lot of teams during practice. A lot of them was doing a scuffing process on their qualifying tires, which meant that they liked the newness knocked off a little bit to run quicker.
Picks it up to a 66. Second lap is quicker for the former ASA star.
And Larry, you talk about scuffing the tires. I mean, I heard a lot of people talk about just knocking the new off all the way up to having as many as 2 and 3 laps on their tires before they really came in. So these tires were, in their estimation, was a little bit hard for us getting some heat in them, so they need to get the new definitely really worked on.
But I think that's going to be a borderline time, and he was one of those cars that just about has to get in on his speed. They're not very high in owner points. Ryan Vickers in the 25 car, he was 15th quickest earlier in practice today.
Last year's Busch champion has 10 top 5 starts in 04, 2 poles. You'll note all the Hendrick cars continue to carry the remembrance decal of the 10 lives lost in the Martinsville plane crash just less than 2 weeks ago.
What a great run this young man had at Atlanta. In fact, it was a career high Nextel Cup finish last week. Atlanta finished 7th, ran up there in the top 10 most of the day. Looks like this speed is well going to beat Tony Raines, at least for the time being, 27.29.
That's just a tick slower than what he practiced it earlier. And watching the car around the racetrack, Larry, it's still sliding around and dipping and diving quite a bit through the corners.
But, Jeff, it's quicker. And do we expect we'll see this through the day, that this second lap's going to be faster?
I believe you will, Mike. I think maybe about a lot, but just a little bit. It should be a little bit quicker the second time through.
And I think it's just a lot due to heating the tires, and that's quite a bit quicker. 4/10, 26.89. He didn't break the track record, but he's flirting with it right there.
Sure is. Marty?
Well, Rusty Wallace only once has not qualified in the top 10 here at Phoenix. Can you keep up the streak today, Rusty?
Gosh, I hope to. That's my plan. We got a good car. It ran good in practice. It was 9th in practice and number 1 most of the day until they started chipping me away. But I feel good about it. I made a little adjustment for qualifying. I think we'll get her done.
And it's been a busy day for you. An announcement, Busch Series practice, Cup qualifying now.
Yeah, had all the Busch practice this morning. That's over. Then early this morning we announced our new Top Flight Golf sponsorship with the Busch Grand National team with Jamie McMurray driving a car. We also announced the Miller High Life sponsorship with Jeremy Mayfield driving a car. So I'm real excited about it. It's car number 64, and the guys look like I think we'll have a great prepared team next year, and everybody's excited about it.
And they will run for the Owners Championship next year in the NASCAR Busch Series.
It's Marty. Greg Biffle at Atlanta. Fifth place was his 16th top 10 start of the season. This will be his 76th career outing in the Cup Series. Winner here in the Busch Series in 2001, 3 races, and 2001 truck race win here, 1 of 5.
His first lap is about 2/10 off of what he ran in practice earlier, but our first 2 cars definitely picked up on their second lap.
Yeah, the thing is kind of funny about what Greg looks at Phoenix, which he races here a lot. He calls this place almost like an oval road course. Oh, he got close to that wall, didn't he, Larry?
I think he might have got a little closer than just close. I think he may have actually went up and just kissed it coming off turn 4.
Well, that hurt him. He caught it a pretty good shot. Biffle's on the outside pole.
Hit the wall coming off 4.
He's on the outside pole for the Busch race tomorrow, and he is second right now.
I don't think that's going to be outside for today, but as he said, he did get a piece of the wall.
Let's show you how big a piece he got.
And we talked earlier in practice, you pick up the throttle so early and you see the back end just come around the car sliding, and the worst thing you want to do is roll out of that throttle, because if you roll out of that throttle, it's going to kill your speed. You can hear he never got out of the throttle right there. He stayed in the throttle. But that definitely hurt that second lap.
You can see the damage done to the right front tire as well as the right rear tire.
Kasey Kahne is next up. Both Evernham cars continue to carry the black numerals in remembrance as they will throughout the season. This is the 3rd trip for Kasey to Phoenix in 2 Busch races here. His best start is 9th, but he's run here a lot in midgets and Silver Bullet Open Wheel cars.
Had another great run at Atlanta last week, finished 5th. That's his 11th top 5 in his rookie season, and that tied Dale Earnhardt Sr., who had 11 top 5s in his rookie season. The record, Ryan Newman had 14 as a rookie in 2002.
Kasey needs 4/10 to equal his practice time. He's got a 27:35 on the first lap.
I believe this is going to be a little better than that first lap, though.
Closing up on the green light there. Almost. No, fades back just a bit. 26:95, second quickest to Brian Vickers. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series lives on speed. Tonight, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or, in other words, next.
And a lot like Nextel Cup with 3 races to go, the championship battle is tightened in that series.
Jeff Green, the Cheerios Pop Secret Dodge, 27:08. The second lap is quicker. He is presently 3rd fastest on the board, behind Brian Vickers at a 26:89 and Kasey Kahne at a 26:95. So it's Chevy, Dodge, Ford, Chevy with Greg Biffle and Tony Raines. The Sterling Marlin comes on the speedway in the Marines Coors Light Dodge.
Sterling is only 35th quickest in practice. This is one of the teams I watched during practice. All 3 Ganassi cars, McMurray, Marlin, and Casey Mears, for about the first hour or so, made long race runs, then flipped over and made practice qualifying runs.
Talking to Tony Glover, his crew chief now, he said he really liked doing this, especially with Sterling. It kind of like allowed him to get his tempo going and get things kind of working like he needed to. But he's going to find some speed for sure, because right now he's 6th fastest, not looking very quick.
Sterling used his very first provisional start of the year last weekend at Atlanta.
Second lap, better, 27:52 makes him 5 of 6. Let's meet the man who's number 1, Dave.
And he's qualified for his second race here at Phoenix. How'd you think of your lap? What'd you think of it?
I felt really good about it, to be honest with you. I think the track was still just a little dirty, us going out second. And maybe that's just the track slowed down for qualifying. I don't know. We'll see. I hope so, because Newman was pretty quick in practice. The GMAC Chevy did a really good job, and all the guys did a great job. Our practice time really wasn't how the car was, because I tried something. We put stickers back on. It didn't really work and kind of messed that lap up. So I was comfortable with the car. I knew we'd be better than we were in practice, but we'll see if it's the pole or not. I hope so.
Brian Vickers currently first in the 25 car, guys.
Green flag out for Jeremy Mayfield, who has 2 poles in 2004, both Dover races, and he's qualified in the top 13 in the last 15 races. 3 top 10 finishes in the chase for the Cup, but also 3 finishes up in the 30s due to accidents.
Yeah, he said he would sure love to start this bad finish, good finish. Now, this would be a weekend not to end it, because this weekend should be a good finish based on the trend in these final 10 races. You mentioned Mike Ray Evernham on his 2 cars running the black numerals. Also, in front of both rear tires, they have the tail numbers from that airplane 501RH. And that will be on there for the remainder of the season, as the black numbers will be as well.
First lap for Mayfield slow at a 27.71. He was green light, Jeff, down through the middle of 1 and 2, and then it started to drop off a bit.
Well, he's picking it up, definitely coming back toward the start-finish line. But again, when you sometimes with these tires, I think that Brian Vickers kind of pointed it out, he does pick it up a little bit, but you've got to get some heat in these tires to really make them hook up on this racetrack.
Second lap for Jeremy, 27.28. That will move him up to 5th in the order. Marty?
Mike, some cars arriving late here on the grid. Bobby Labonte just got his race car. 10th fastest in practice. A good qualifying run would do a lot for this race team, wouldn't it, Bobby?
Well, it really would, and we had a good practice today. We tried a couple things, ended up 10th in practice, and probably definitely not a bad run for us. So hopefully we can back it up with a good qualifying effort here.
Next up, Mark Martin in the Viagra Ford, who had a streak of 9 straight top 10 starts here, and 3 of the last 5 races he started in the top 10. He's 4th in the chase, 81 points out.
And Sunday will be his 600th career Nextel Cup start. His finishes here, Mike, yeah, they've been phenomenal. 16 starts with 8 top 5s and 13 top 10s. And Jeff, I felt so bad for his crew chief, Pat Trice, in Atlanta. Not when the last caution came out, but when the next to the last caution, he was in a box with no opening.
No opening for sure. You always hate to second guess anybody, but he clearly had a great race car last week, and he did a lot of good things with it. He puts down his first lap, which is good enough for 4th quickest.
Well, many people said he had the best car last week.
And I wouldn't argue with that right there at all, because that race car was able to come at different points in time, take the lead, or stay out front, and nobody could challenge him. It didn't matter where it was at during what part of the race. He was strong all day long.
I don't believe Mark's second lap is going to be better than his first lap. Looks like it's going to be slower.
It is, Larry, but only by 2/100ths of a second. However, that would be 2 positions, as cars are very tightly bunched there.
The guys right now have been trying to track some of this.
Whoa, what's that?
I believe somebody
noticed
off the apron right there.
Yeah, you can see where all the bottom of the valence right there, where you see that orange is all tore up.
Completely off the racetrack at the dog leg there.
You can see it's damaged the left front fender, buckled in.
Hit the apron on the back stretch and bottom.
Sure did.
Yeah, it shot him all the way over to the grass, to that, where it almost looked like there's a rumple strip there.
Right. I'll tell you right now, his crew chief, Pat Trice, needs to take a look at that little piece of videotape if he's not watching, because he definitely knocked the front end out of line on that race car. But here's a guy that's been on line here lately, and it's Timmy Johnson.
Had to go through a little bit of dirt there that Mark had kicked up at the dog leg, but that should not upset the car as far as time's concerned.
And Jeff, you were in this sport for a long time, and you normally don't like to pay attention to numbers, but if you look at numbers, we have 3 races to go: Phoenix, Darlington, and Homestead. This team right here finished 2nd here a year ago, as well as 2nd at Homestead, and he won the Darlington race in the spring.
Are you trying to say that if you were a betting man, you may want to put a little money on the Ford 48
I
car.
wouldn't have 3 weeks ago.
Well, surely momentum is once again on their side, as you heard in the interview at the top of the show. Jimmy's first lap, 27:20. That is fourth. That makes 4 cars in the 20s. And this lap moves up to an 09, but Jimmy still sits right fourth on the board. Well, we talked earlier, Mark Martin last week likely had the fastest car and was coming, a fact that was acknowledged by Jimmy in victory lane.
The 6 car was coming, but I had 10 Angels riding on this race car, and feel bad for Mark, dominant car, but things happen for a reason. Unfortunately, the event's what happened. God had a bigger plan for them, and there's a bigger plan for this Hendrick team here today.
And there are the 10 Angels depicted on the hood of all of the Hendrick cars. Here's Dave.
With Mark Martin now. Mark, what happened on the second lap?
Nothing. After the deal was over with, I ran off the racetrack on the inside. I just pulled down to the inside, and I was, you know, not paying enough attention. I caught the inside curb there.
I saw you paying attention to it now. I mean, just tore up the front a little bit, no big deal?
No, it's not any big deal. It's a pretty big disappointment. The car was really good in practice. Ran faster than that in practice, and I thought we'd run better than that, but I don't know. Seems like qualifying just isn't our thing, you know. I don't know. Guys always give me a great race car to race with, but I thought we were going to do better than that. We ran a flat in practice. I thought we'd beat that today, but I don't know. The car just it felt okay. Just didn't seem to go.
All right, maybe like last week, the race will be the thing for Mark.
Terry Labonte, the 2-time Cup champ, with Pixar's new movie The Incredibles on the hood of his Kellogg's Chevrolet. The reviews are good. That's supposed to be a very, very enjoyable movie. And Terry has had an enjoyable time at Phoenix. There are 7 drivers who've run every Cup race here. Terry is the only one to be running at the finish of every Cup race this year. And here is what Hats on Fatback installment this week.
Well, all you have to do is check the Washington Redskins football schedule, see who they played last week, and for the most part, see who beat them last week. And this week it was the Green Bay Packers. So my man Fatback, the hat saga continues. He's wearing the Green Bay Packer hat this week.
Now, in fairness, when the Redskins beat the Bears, he did have a Washington hat on.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
The Redskins had a bye week, so.
And then last week, he had a Hendrick Motorsports hat on.
Meanwhile, back on track where it counts, Rusty Wallace. 15 top 10s and 8 top 5 starts. His average start here of 6.4, best of all drivers at Phoenix.
He definitely knows how to get around this racetrack. As I said earlier, he feels like he's got it pretty good in his terms, pretty good little hot rod. The green light is showing as he makes an exit off of turn 2, loses a little bit of time back to the clock, but with Rusty, you just never know how this first lap's going to turn out. But I still believe the second lap is the one you need to pay attention to.
But he was so excited about coming out here. He came out here and tested that Busch car that he's racing this weekend, tested it for 2 days, and felt like so much of the information they could transfer over to the Nextel Cup car.
Now, Jeff, did you notice the low line he took coming off turn number 4? He was straightened out and headed down that straightaway a lot sooner than a lot of folks we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's where this veteran, I think, has a little different approach how you want to run this racetrack. Some guys have a tendency to want to run out real close to the wall, but here Rusty has a tendency to run it low up off this corner. Now he's using a lot more racetrack on the second lap. But
we'll see if the watch liked it.
Yep.
Definitely liked it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
27:12. The first lap was a 27:30. So good pickup for Rusty Wallace, who is now 5th. Marty?
Mike Tony Stewart standing down here in the middle of 1 and 2 and picking up things from what other drivers are doing. What are you noticing, Tony?
That there's race cars going around the track one at a time, Marty. It's that we're not watching for rocket science. We're just watching the attitude of everybody's cars and just watching. It's not very many tracks you get an opportunity that you can stand this close to the wall in the corner. So Martinsville and here is about the only 2 places you can really do that, and Rockingham. So it's fun to come down here and watch how everybody's cars are driving when they come through here.
5th fastest in practice. Do you have a shot at the pole?
Newman's pretty quick, but I don't know. I felt like I left a little bit on the table, so hopefully hopefully we'll be good here. But, it's the best we were at the end of practice, before qualifying for a long time. So hopefully it's Home Depot Monte Carlo would be good. We're pretty excited for this weekend.
It's been one of his best racetracks, 3 top 10s and his 5 Phoenix starts.
Thanks, Marty. Kenny Schrader has been coming here since 1988. 12 top 10 starts at Phoenix, and he hasn't won here in Cup, but he's won in just about every other stock car and open wheel series that races here.
Yeah, he's got like 13 wins in those other series as far as Phoenix is concerned, and he likes this old racetrack.
And later today, he's going to start outside pole in the truck race here on Speed.
And of course, we read every week and we talk about how much Kenny Schrader enjoys going short track racing at a dirt track somewhere. I heard him say this past week that he's close to being able to say he has competed at 300 different racetracks in his career. That's a lot of racetracks.
Have to ask Alan Brown, who publishes National Speedway Directory, but I think there's only, what, 1,200 racetracks in the country?
So that would be a fourth of them.
Well, there's got to be, maybe there's 2,000. There's got to be more. I feel like I've been to most of them. Todd Bodine is on track as we tell you who's going to be on trackside tonight on Speed.
We have a house full. Matt Kenseth will join us along with Mike Bliss, Ashton Lewis Jr., Chase Montgomery, and the winner of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race here later on this afternoon.
Larry, who's that going to be?
Well, I don't know. They tell me that Ted Musgrave and Bobby Hamilton maybe have the trucks to beat. But I'm sure there's about 40-something other trucks that has a little something to say about that.
And you'll see it live here on Speed. Todd is going to be disappointed with 27.53. That's about 800ths slower than he was in practice. So he's 12th on the board right now.
And that team has no provisions. They're out of provisions. So that's going to be very borderline, Mike.
The guys have been sitting here, like I said, trying to track it, and there's no consistent rhyme or reason on today's early qualifying results here, because some guys are slowing down like Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace, while other guys like Jimmy Johnson and Brian Vickers are picking up. So it's not as obvious as it normally is that you're going to go quicker.
Mario Gosselin is in the number 80 this week, 28.44. And that's a going home kind of speed, because they also are well down the provisional list. They're on the go or go home plan.
But I'll go back to what Ray Evernham said. He said this racetrack is nothing like Loudon. I think in some respect it is, from the standpoint it's a very have to hit your mark type of racetrack to run a quick lap. If you overdrive the entrance of the corner just ever so slightly, miss your mark turning down in the corner, it can make a 1 or 2 tenths difference.
Think about how Greg Biffle termed this racetrack, an oval road course. And what happens at road courses? You got to hit those marks or you don't run fast. So there's a driver's agreeing with you already.
Gosselin's lap of 28.12 is better than he practiced, but it will likely send the commercial truck and trailer Ford to the house. Marty?
Jeff Gordon was 16th fastest in practice. And how's the car, Jeff?
We're decent. You know, we're just, I think we've been good down 1 and 2, just been trying to get up off of 3 and 4, and we made some adjustments here. You know, we picked up a little right there at the end of practice. We can pick up a little bit more. I think we can get up in the top 5.
This team spent the effort to test here, obviously wanting to get better at Phoenix.
Bobby Labonte on track, back in the Interstate Batteries colors on his Joe Gibbs Racing Chevrolet. 9 top 10 starts this year, including the Texas pole. He was 6th at the season's midpoint. He is 15th in the point standings right now, and is looking for his first top 10 finish since Daytona in July.
And he's expecting to make his 400th career Nextel Cup start on Sunday. But you heard Marty talk about Jeff Gordon testing out here. I think there was more teams that came out here and tested for this race than I've ever heard of teams, that amount of teams coming out here. And a lot of those chase for the Cup teams came out here, saved the test.
What I'm seeing on our pace chase, as you look at our red light, green light, right there at the top of the graphic, a number of drivers, including Bobby Labonte, are green light all the way down to the middle of turns 1 and 2. Now that's in comparison to the fastest driver so far, who is Brian Vickers. So that kind of tells me that Vickers, on his so far pole setting lap, took the car easy into turn 1 and 2 and made a point of getting back to the throttle quickly to turn that fast lap.
And the whole key is make that back stretch just as long as you can possibly make it, all the way back down into the middle of 1 and 2. Pick that throttle up and stay in it.
Labonte's second lap, 27.32. That is 10th.
And to back up what we were talking about here, driving down that corner, how it kind of affects your overall speed. Bobby Labonte lost almost 0.3 of a second of what he practiced at. So there is something going on where the guys are trying a little too hard, and it's coming back and biting them, or the racetrack itself is just not giving them what they expected when the qualifying did come time to come around. So it's very kind of mysterious early on.
Well, did you see how loose Carl Edwards in the 99 car got just come to take the green, which again will hurt this front stretch speed on this first lap.
Edwards starts third later today in the Craftsman Truck Series race. He is fourth in points in that series, 122 points out of first. 25-year-old from Columbia, Missouri, had his best Cup race at Atlanta, started fourth and finished third.
And he's got some experience around here, guys, in the Craftsman Truck Series. They've already ran a race here earlier this year. He finished fourth. But believe it or not, Carl has also got some experience driving a Silver Crown car at this racetrack. I don't think a lot of people think about him being an open wheel guy, but he's definitely got some experience here.
And he was pretty quick in practice earlier. His first lap, I think a lot had to do with what we saw in turn 4, was about 0.3 off what he practiced. So hopefully this second lap will be a little quicker. But they spent, look, you can just see the whole car just in a four-wheel slide coming off the corner. The car's just not down in the racetrack. They spent about 3/4 of the practice working on race setup earlier.
Well, the second should have been the money lap for Carl Edwards. Instead, it was about a 1/100th slower. So right now he is 11th. Tomorrow it's Nextel Cup final practice, happy hour from Phoenix. You'll see it live at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Speed. Qualifying and happy hour for all the remaining Nextel Cup events, right here on Speed. The Net Zero Radio Shack Chevy for Ward Burton trails the pack at a 27.68. That's 16th out of 17.
Yeah, they had been struggling with this race car earlier in practice, and I'd say that's probably going to have a provisional start written on it.
Tony Stewart in the Home Depot Chevrolet. Finished 9th at Atlanta, his 4th top 10, 6th top 15 finish in the chase, where he stands 6th, trying to overcome that 39th place finish at Loudon in the first race of the chase.
But now he has somewhat moved back into the picture because he's only 145 points out. If circumstances prevailed, which would be probably not probable, Tony Stewart could take the lead of the points here leaving Sunday.
But to use a golf analogy, he's had his mulligan.
He has.
That being Loudon.
And he's also had a pretty good little lap right there. He's 4th quick after the first lap at a 27.91.
You can hear him really into that rev limiter at the end of the backstretch. We talk about the rev limiter every week. And again, that's in the ignition system just to kill some cylinders to keep mainly Tony from overdriving the entrance of the corner.
Picked up almost to 10th, 26.98. Moves Stewart to 3rd.
But Mike, if he hadn't gotten loose up off of turn 4, I can't imagine how much quicker he could have run as far as that speed's concerned.
So Stewart is the 3rd driver to break 27 seconds in qualifying. Marty?
Jeff Burton finished 6th last week at Atlanta. Good finish for you guys. You feel like this race team is finally building the consistency it needs to be better, Jeff?
Well, we've been consistent the whole time since I came over here. We've really been working well together, and we've been a consistent, 8th to 12th place car. We need to make some improvements on that. We're working together really well. I think there's a tremendous amount of upside with us. I feel good about it. I mean, we didn't have the greatest practice this morning, but I feel good about where we're headed, and we keep making small improvements. They'll have to deal with us every week.
Certainly seems like a race team heading in the right direction, Jeff. 23rd fastest in the morning practice, Mike.
Thanks, Marty. Ricky Rudd and the Wood brothers. This is the Motorcraft Ford. Ricky has taken provisionals in the last 2 super speedway races, Lowe's Motor Speedway and Atlanta.
Ricky was 27th quickest in practice earlier today at a 27.31. He ran that late in the practice. Like it's going to be a decent lap. 27.30, 11th quickest for Ricky on that first lap.
He takes it in deep. Did you see that car slide in turn 1, and that green light stayed on a long time, but paid the price on exit.
Did not hook up at all when he drove off down in the corner, but he got a good first lap, Mike.
Yeah, you can see right there, this lap definitely I don't think is going to be better than that first lap. It was all down there in turn 1 and 2, Mike.
He tried to get it all, and he did, to a point. So the first lap will be the lap of record for Ricky. The second lap is 3/10 slower. Now, he took that provision in Atlanta, but came from 43rd to a 12th place finish. Ricky has started every single Cup race since the start of the 1981 season at Riverside, California.
Pretty phenomenal record right there. But I always remember something. You look better coming than you do going. So when you start back there in the back, you always look better coming toward the front.
Jeff Gordon rolls out on one of only 4 racetracks where he has not won. The others are Chicago, Homestead, and Texas.
But he did win a Busch Series race here in 1999.
Picky. You are correct.
Jeff was 16th quickest earlier in practice in a 27:19. Slap not looking too great when you look at our pace chase, headed off into turn 3.
Now, Gordon has started every single Cup race since his very first start, which was the final race of 1992. That was Richard Petty's last Winston Cup start. It was Jeff Gordon's first.
He's not going to be very happy with that first lap, 27:38. That puts him 14th quickest. And right now, this second lap, as we've seen on several cars, looks like it's going to be quite a bit better as long as he can get through 3 and 4. But I just don't believe I've ever seen cars sliding around so much in a qualifying session, Jeff.
Used up an awful lot of racetrack right there, but you're exactly right, Larry. His car was sliding around both laps, but he was able to pick it up on the second to fourth.
Speed Channel's coverage of Bud Pole qualifying from Phoenix is brought to you by Duracell. Duracell, trusted everywhere. Mike Garvey, the ASA winner in Atlanta, his 5th win of the season there, trying to make his first Cup start. And he's in at 27:62. That is 18th fastest out of 22 drivers. Dave?
Tony Stewart with a great lap just a bit ago. And is it my understanding, Tony, that there's still not a single rocket scientist employed by Joe Gibbs Racing?
No, not yet. You know, I think NASA's got all those unless Marty Snyder got hired today. I'm not quite sure, but I think it's still just about taking the green flag, and last I checked, getting around and back to the checkered as fast as you can.
All right, seriously, with a 98, are you pleased with that lap?
Not really. We had a lap going that was probably going to be a new track record on the pole, which I'm not sure that Newman wouldn't break that anyway, but it was definitely going to get us on the pole for right now. I mean, we were 2/10 quicker going into 3 on the second lap than we were the first lap. I just wrecked off a 4 and didn't hit anything on the second lap and still went quicker than my first lap. So if I could have not got loose and made the lap, I think we were going to have us a really good time. But hopefully we can stay in the top 5, and if so, that'll give us a great starting spot for Sunday. It's be the best we've qualified in a long time. So 3rd right now isn't looking too bad all in all, but that's just the way our team is. Everybody on this Joe Gibbs Home Depot Racing team, we don't settle for 3rd. We want to be the best. So a little bit disappointed with the lap, not terribly.
Everybody on the team, but no rocket scientist, Mike.
That's okay. They get a lot done. Nonetheless, Kevin LePage, number 37, his 6th race in the Carter Racing Dodge. He has 1 Busch start here at Phoenix, and 27:57. That's going to be kind of on the borderline side. As we looked early, could have taken a 50 or so to make the field, and now some of these cars aren't running as quick as maybe we thought, but Kevin's going to have a chance.
Yeah, he helped himself out because he picked up about a 10th from what he practiced at earlier today, and that's what you've got to do when you're down at the bottom part of this sheet. The only way you can help yourself is pick up one of qualifying efforts.
Well, you have to beat 11 cars to make the top 38. Right now, Kevin is halfway there. He's actually almost halfway. He's beat 5 cars.
And as Robbie Gordon comes out in the singular Chevy, you got to understand how Tony Stewart feels, because if your job is to try to put that car on the pole and you want to be on the pole, 3rd place, yeah, I mean, that's a great run. That's going to be a strong starting spot he's going to end up with, but I want a driver who's disappointed if he doesn't do as well as he wants to do.
Well,
That's okay.
Yeah, and you know what? This is not a real long race on Sunday. And starting up front, you can pass here if you have a good Hamlin race car. But even though it's a very long pit road, there's also some prime pit spots here that you want to get when you go to pick your pits.
Well, Jeff, I guess the other side of that is if your driver says he's real happy with third, does it mean that the car wasn't good enough to do what all of you hoped he would do?
You can interpret a lot of different ways, but I'm like you, Mike. I'd rather have that driver that, hey, I'm on the outside pole and I'm upset. I'm just really ticked off because I should have been on the pole. That's the kind of fire you want inside of a driver. And that's what Tony Stewart usually brings to the racetrack, is that type of an attitude. And I want to win. I want to win it all. I want to be on the pole. I want to lead every lap. And when I don't, I'm going to be mad at myself or somebody or something.
Agree.
Boy, Robbie Gordon in a 31 car, he had a great pickup on that second lap. He went from a 27.54 to a 27.16, 8th quickest, which he does that quite a bit.
Isn't this 4 out of 5 weeks that he's had a much stronger second lap? Let's show you what Tony was talking about and give you another look at that second lap. That was quicker than the first.
And this is where he's talking about he got down in the 3, really good, got right on the bottom of the racetrack and started to pick the throttle up, and this is when the trouble began. Look at there. Woo!
The hands tell the story.
The hands tell the story. She got loose on him, but Tony Stewart didn't lift. He just steered right back through it. Was able to make a great save. Yeah, put down a very impressive lap.
And that's the mark of a great driver, somebody that can get the car that far out of shape and still pick up and make the best lap out of it, and he did.
He really did. That's what makes him, you know, a former champion. It makes him the winner he's always been, is he's got great car control, and he can get as much out of any race car I've ever seen anybody get into.
Here is Stanton Barrett in the number 94 Chevrolet. And I think Stanton is right close to being, no, he is on the go or go home list as he tries to make his 8th Nextel Cup start.
And he was only 44th quickest in practice at a 28.01, so let's see if Stanton can pick it up. He actually slows down quite a bit from practice on that first lap. He's going to have to pick up, probably a good second to even feel halfway safe to get in this show.
I talked to him earlier. He said they could not get the car to get down in the corner and rotate like he needed it to. So they've really, like I said, they struggled since they've unloaded it.
Yeah, you can hear how Lady is getting back to the gas, and that's going to hurt you down the straightaway. He goes from a 28.65 to, a really good pickup, 27.92. But that is probably going to have a going home look to it.
As you said earlier, Larry, he gave himself a chance, but he still is just so far behind.
Where y'all staying at?
Behind the Headlights takes a look at presidential limousines. That's Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Speed Channel. Randy LaJoie in the Air Raid Ford. Those are air intake systems. You can modify your car, get a little more horsepower, air intakes and filters. But the two-time Busch Series champs lap is 27.66, 22nd fastest. Jeff Burton gets a little wobbly bobble there in the AOL Chevrolet of Richard Childress. He's one of only two-time winners at this racetrack. Davey Allison the other.
Yeah, he's 23rd fastest in practice. You know, Jeff likes this racetrack, and as he said earlier, you know, if he can just get a few more things clicking here, it feels like his team has been working pretty well together since he came on board.
This was the location of his very last Nextel Cup win.
16th with a 27.36 for Burton.
It was announced at Atlanta last weekend that Jeff Burton, Kevin Hamlin, and his crew chief, and most of this race team will be moving over to the 31 Singular Wireless team. An announcement regarding the 30 team is expected in a couple of weeks at Homestead. Richard Childress said he will fill 3 full-time Nextel Cup teams next year, though.
Yeah, Robbie, big pickup for Burton to 10th with a 27.21. Yeah, that's going in the right direction. Of course, Jeff was with Roush Racing when he scored his 2 victories here in 2000 from the outside pole, and here in 2001 from the 3rd starting position.
And if I'm not mistaken, he swept the weekend that weekend. He won the Busch race and the Nextel Cup race that weekend.
And this was Roush Racing's 50th Nextel Cup victory. Here's Marty.
Elliott Sadler was 4th fastest in practice. I asked you about practice in that lap, and you said what?
If I can do that again, I'll be very, very happy. I hit every corner as perfect you can hit it. It's almost like playing a round of golf and making every putt, knowing you're going to come back the next day and do the same thing.
His teammate Dale Jarrett tested here. He said that helped them decide which car to bring here. Not necessarily set up, but which car to bring to Phoenix.
Scott Riggs on track in the Valvoline Chevy. Missed the show last week. Failed to qualify for, I think that was the first time this season. It was. He's had 2 Busch and 1 truck race here.
It was 32nd quickest in practice earlier to 27:44. So already on his first lap, he has picked up from what he practiced. A pretty decent lap, 27:33, 16th quickest.
He definitely had his hands full there, Ray, coming up on that first lap. He was really working inside that race car.
Well, he came off what, a 4th place start at Charlotte. Had trouble last week.
Looks pretty good right here, guys.
He's going to be solid. 16th on the first lap with a 33, and he jumps to 5th on the second lap with a 27:06.
Real good. He says, Mike, you're not going to send me home this week.
It's a long way home from Phoenix to Charlotte.
So 28 of 50 drivers have had a chance, 22 to go, to fill 38 time trial spots and 5 provisional positions. And we keep hearing increasingly that the method of determining how many cars go into the field by time trials and what might happen to the provisional spots may change, and perhaps drastically next year. No details available yet, but we do expect a change in the way the field is set when we open up in Daytona.
And Mike, I think that is such a necessity. We have to take care of the teams and the sponsors that are here supporting this series for 36 weeks a year. We have to do all we can within reason not to send those race teams home.
And yet still maintain the integrity of the sport that says that anyone with a qualified driver and the right equipment can come in and take a chance and try to achieve a starting spot, like John Andretti in this brand new PPC team for Greg Pollux, Victory Brands, and A+ on that number 14. This will be their 3rd race. They have 2 top 20 starts, still looking for their first top 20 finish.
And he gets the job done for sure today. He's 13th quickest in his first lap. And guys, I got a chance to talk to him after making his early practice runs. And this is basically a brand new car for them. They just recently acquired it from Robert Yates Racing. Oh, and he got it out. Maybe got a piece of that wall off of turn 4, about like I think Carl Edwards did right there.
Boy, if he didn't hit it, he was miss it by much.
And he picked up on that second lap.
12th fastest. New season for The Simpsons, November 7th, only on Fox. Hermie Sadler in the Treasure Island, Las Vegas. Chevrolet clocks in at 27.99. That's 28th of 30. And that might be a stretch for Sadler to garner a provisional for Sunday's race. We'll see. Jamie McMurray on track. And Texaco, Haviland Dodge. We'll check with Dave.
And standing by now with Scott Riggs. Scott, a much better qualifying result than last week. How was that lap?
It was pretty good. It was a good pickup for us on time-wise. About, well, almost 4/10 there, right at 4/10. So, yeah, pretty good for us. It just goes to show how very small changes can make a really good lap, or it can send you home like it did us last week. And last week was tough for me. It's the first time I ever had to go home and not make a race in any kind of competition. So it was very hard pill to swallow, and it was a big learning curve, I guess, for us that we had to go through. And just proud of all the guys in Valvoline Chevrolet for having the kind of attitudes they all have. I mean, from everybody at Valvoline, owners, and all the way down to all the guys on this team and back at the shop. Nobody loses faith in anyone. No one points a finger. Everybody just pulls together harder and tries to pull a little harder on, on the rope. And small changes took us from
33rd, I think, in practice to, you know, probably somewhere in, hopefully in the top, you know, 10th or so. So that's good for us.
Glad to see one of the regular teams back in the show this week. Marty?
Dave Kurt Busch getting set for his qualifying lap. Good to get to the racetrack today, Kurt, and get going and put last week behind you.
Yeah, this car is one of those cool, funny cars that doesn't qualify well. And so we were anxious to get it here to see if we can work on it. It's that same car we had at Loudon and Richmond that didn't qualify good, but it races good. So I was joking with crew chief Jimmy Fenning and with Elliott Sadler, I need a 3-lap warm-up and untape the whole nose, and I should be okay in qualifying.
Think you can work that out with NASCAR?
Not likely. So we've got to do the best job we can with this Irwin Industrial Tools Ford. It's the last weekend for Irwin, so we're excited about it, and hopefully we can donate some money to charity with a good win or a good finish.
The car that should have won Richmond and did win at New Hampshire.
All right, Jamie McMurray, his lap was good enough for 5th. Second lap was a 27.05. Here is the Rocket in a new Alltel paint scheme. Nice bright blue, easy to spot. 4 straight Atlanta poles, 3 straight Nextel Cup poles. What's it going to be, folks?
I believe she's a pole run, boys.
She's there.
26.55. He broke the track record by almost 0.3 of a second on lap 1.
Hold the phone. He is faster yet on lap 2.
So get you some of that, and I'm going to give you some more to think about, boys.
Whatever shade of blue that is, get some.
How did Tony Stewart put it? He said, I may have been a pole run for the moment till he got out here and Ryan Newman had a chance, and he's just keeping on going again. He's just getting faster.
Jeff, I think the difference, that car just looked like it was stuck to the racetrack. He picks it up 6/100ths to 26.49.
Shoot.
Average over 135 miles per hour on a 1-mile racetrack.
Might be rocket science.
A flat racetrack.
49 on the second lap.
He's laughing.
49 second lap, bud. Definitely good job to you guys.
What can you say but wow?
I believe this will be like that run at Lowe's. He's going to get out. He's going to basically say if they can beat it, tell them to have at it.
That's right. Here's Dave.
And not quite with that kind of land right now, but a good pickup on your run.
Yeah, we made some really good adjustments right there before our qualifying run. Learned a little bit in Busch qualifying yesterday. So really good pickup, and we're not known for our qualifying. So car was real good in race. Made it all race run stuff this morning. So pretty happy with that.
All right, learned something yesterday in Busch car, guys. Happens a lot.
And guys, I keep saying those top 10 better be glad that 42 team did not make the chase for the Cup, because over the last 5-6 races, they've scored the second most points of anybody. Last 11 races, 10 top 10 finishes.
So he's likely to be on stage at the Waldorf, but it will be for 11.
I would say it's like our series sponsor. Done.
Almost. Morgan Shepherd, the Racing with Jesus Dodge. Has failed to make the last 4 Cup races. So you wonder, why do these folks keep on trying if they're not quite fast enough? You want to try to have enough attempts to gain a provisional should you have a chance to use one, or perhaps hit the right setup to get the car in the show.
In making this attempt right here, he gets one back. He actually has a provisional available for this race if a lot of teams higher in the points don't need to use it.
But this will be the slowest lap turned so far, 28.14. For Morgan Shepherd. And Larry, I'm not sure he's high enough on the owner's points to be able to use that provisional. Ryan Newman there, fastest so far. Mike Wallace with a 27.45 is 22nd. The Morgan LeClure team welcomes a new sponsor. Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, which I can tell you is the RV friendliest travel center that we've ever had a chance to go through. Very nice family-owned chain of travel center stops. Here's Elliott Sadler carrying the Pedigree dog food colors on his Robert Yates number 38.
And his first lap is good enough for 20th fastest. And this is the same car that he won with in California, and he also ran at Loudon earlier this year and finished 8th with it. So got a lot of confidence in this race car.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you believe in numbers, we've been talking numbers a lot. Elliott Sadler is the only top 10 driver that has not ever finished in the top 5 here. So I know he'd like to change that for this weekend.
But we've seen him do that a lot this year, change a lot of things around.
Good run for Sadler. He is 6th, and he is by far the fastest Ford at a 27.04, but he's half a second behind this fella, Dave.
Shards of the track record scattered all around us here. Broke that baby big time. You do realize you broke the track record of your teammate, right?
Yeah, that doesn't matter. He's a competitor just the same, and you know, it's just a great run for our All-Tall Dodge. Got the Text to Win paint scheme on it this week, and I guess my 69 from before was just a good lap because that was a great lap. I didn't think we had that much in it, but sure feels good. Got to thank everybody back at the shop. Got a brand new body on this car, and just everybody back at the shop doing an excellent job.
You really trust that race car, don't you?
You got to go that fast. I was actually shaking a little bit when I came out. I guess it's about the same shake I got when I run Atlanta, but not quite as fast. But it just tells you how much you can have to hold it on the edge at a flatter racetrack like this.
Another great qualifying run for Ryan Newman, guys.
It was, Dave. That's not quite petty blue on Newman's car for you longtime Dodge fans, but it's pretty close. Kurt Busch, he's the point leader despite adversity last week, and adversity right at that moment. Busch 59 points up on Jimmy Johnson.
He got down in 3 and 4, Larry, and that's something that got wicked on him right about there.
And I think that first lap pretty much tells the tale, 27:53. But I mean, Mike, who would have ever believed going into Atlanta the top 3 in points would have all had problems? In fact, of our 10 top 10 contenders, 7 finished outside the top 15 at Atlanta.
Well, the watch didn't like that first lap, 27:53, but you heard Kurt say earlier, this car, we're trying to trick it into qualifying well. We know it will race well. And he tricked it up for the second lap up to a 27:34, but that is 21st fastest. Marty?
Mike, let's check in with the man second fastest in practice. Can you beat a 26:49? That's an unbelievable lap from Ryan Newman.
That is an unbelievable lap. I told him we had a chance to beat the 89 that Brian Vickers ran, but that's a pretty stout lap. But we're going to go out and give it all we got with this Jim Goodrich Chevrolet. And I got to tell the guys in the booth to quit picking on you, Marty. That's not.
I appreciate that.
Hey, that's not nice. I mean, you know, I guess maybe today's just your day.
Yeah,
so
probably
you got to have thick skin, and you know we picked on Larry Mack for being bald. And Tony got Mike Joy, so you know today's just your day. Don't feel bad about it.
I appreciate the sympathy, and you feel better. He's had a cold all week long, and trying to get better and heal up, and trying to see how well he can qualify today.
All right, Marty, thank Kevin for that season recap for us. Here's Junior.
Left me out of it.
No need to overstate the obvious, is there?
No, I guess not.
All right.
He had his hands full, too.
Wow.
Man, he was loose up off that corner.
After 5 straight chase finishes of 9th or better, 2 straight DNFs, 33rd both times, and it's dropped him 98 points out of the lead. But he'll be the first to tell you it's far from over.
Tell you what, considering the look of that first lap, the speed ended up being pretty decent. Right now, he's 16th quickest, 27:24, and this lap definitely, he can't get off turn 4. The car just wants to jump out from him, but he's definitely going to pick it up on this second lap, 27:10, 11th quickest.
Yep, kept his leg in it, brought it home 11th for Dale Jr. NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from Phoenix International Raceway is brought to you by Budweiser. It's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser. Qualifying's on. Brian McGlynn, the Howes Lubrication Buyer's Choice Warranty. Chevy makes the turn into the garage area, 28-21. He's the slowest of 37 drivers to make qualifying attempts and does not have a provisional available. Kyle Petty, the Brawny Georgia Pacific Dodge. New sponsor had a big crowd in Atlanta this weekend. Yes, headquarters.
Get him a couple of sweets and did hospitality there. All out there to support Kyle Petty.
Kyle was 36 quickest in practice earlier at a 27:59. So he's going to slow down on this first lap from practice, 27:85. That's good for 33rd quickest.
Has one top 10 start here since returning to the family team, Petty Enterprises.
You can just see Kyle, like so many drivers, especially through 3 and 4 up onto the front stretch, the hands tell the tale. Car just sliding all over the racetrack. And he picks it up. Pretty good pickup to 26 quickest, 27:48 for Kyle.
11 drivers to go. Ryan McGlynn will be the first car on the bubble. Jeffrey Bodine, who did not make a qualifying attempt, is already, that car was withdrawn after practice and out of the show. Scott Wimmer along with Scott Riggs, were the two drivers who failed to make the show last week among the regular teams on the Nextel Cup circuit. So here comes the Cat Dodge out for its run.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys right now that's looking to kind of like redeem himself. And he was 26th quickest in practice earlier today. So it'll be interesting to see if Scott can kind of like duplicate what Scott Riggs did earlier and get maybe in the top 10.
Wimmer won the Busch race here 2 years ago.
He went on a tear those last 4 or 5 Busch races that year. Lap looks pretty good for Scott so far if he can make it through 3 and 4.
Oof.
Lost a lot of ground there. Looked like he was real late picking up the throttle. The car washed up the racetrack. All of the ground he lost was right there from the middle of 3 and 4 off the corner on his first lap. 30th quickest, 27.60.
Now turn 2, the middle of turns 1 and 2 is all in shade. 3 and 4 is all in sun. Does that make a big difference? A little difference.
Well, I think as slick as 3 and 4 seemingly has been, it makes a huge difference because when the track cools down, it's going to gain some grip. 1 and 2 should be a little grippier right now than 3 and 4. I don't think they're going to be very happy with his qualifying run here. He actually slows down quite a bit. And I think it was all because he didn't get off 4 on that first lap that actually bled over and hurt the second lap.
But what Mike pointed out there, I wonder if he felt like he had so much grip down here in 1 and 2, it lulled him into thinking, man, if I got that much grip here, I might be able to get through 3 and 4 even quicker. And what he did, it got him in trouble.
So the first lap is the lap of record for Scott Wimmer. He is 30th on the board right now, and that is probably safe. Marty.
Mike Joe Nemechek stood in disbelief as he watched Ryan Newman's laps, just 6th fastest in practice. Is your car sliding around like everybody else's, Joe?
Yeah, sliding around quite a bit. It was a pretty awesome lap Ryan had there. That's pretty incredible to run that fast today. It just seems like the cars are sliding. I'm proud of all my Army guys here. This is a car we won with in Kansas. It's driving good. If I can hit my marks right, hopefully we can get up there and maybe run second. I don't know if we can beat Ryan. That's pretty incredible lap.
Joe's rocket science opinion. He said that when he came through 1 and 2, he was amazed at the control that Ryan Newman had.
And he's right, Marty. I mean, we watched that race car from up here on both laps. It was just stuck to the racetrack.
Casey Mears in the Target Dodge, 9 top 10s this season versus none last year through 33 races. First lap 17th at a 27.24. 22nd in the point standings, 8 top 10 starts for Casey.
Looks like this, if he can get through 3 and 4, Larry, he's got a pretty good second lap going.
17th quickest, and Casey has not only competed in the Busch Series and Nextel Cup, but he also ran an IRL race here a few years ago. Wow, boy, did he ever pick it up. 27 flat, 5th quickest for Casey. Good lap. And this is a team that worked on race setup a lot in practice, but I talked to Casey just about the time they were converting the car over to qualifying trim, and he said this car seems like it's going to be so good, especially in race trim, and obviously it's pretty good in qualifying trim.
So here's Kevin Harvick, who said he's got a shot at Brian Vickers' lap. Not too sure about Ryan Newman's, but he's going to give it his all. 2 wins in 7 Craftsman truck races here, 2002 and 3. 1 pole and 2 top 5 finishes in 4 Busch starts here.
And this is the car that ran so well for these guys at Martinsville a couple of weeks ago. Led a bunch of the race, and as we mentioned, he was 2nd quickest in practice earlier. But this team has really hit a wall here lately because they've actually, in the last 4 races, they've had 3 DNFs, and a lot due to motor attrition.
I got a chance to talk to Kevin earlier. He said he really liked racing here at Phoenix, but he said, I've never had the kind of luck that has exemplified the type of success he has had. He's led a lot of laps where he just couldn't put a lot of periods on it, except for the 2 truck wins. No luck at all, as he'd like to say. But right now, he's got a really good second lap. Again, working for Kevin Harvick. He can just get it back around here to start finish line and get it off of turn 4, looking pretty sporty.
He'll be much better in that first lap, 27.17. He picks it up to 26.97. Picked up 2/10, the 4th quickest. I believe he'll be pretty happy with that lap.
He's the 5th driver to break 27 seconds. So he bumps Mario Gosselin out of the show, along with Morgan Shepherd and Ryan McGlynn are on the headed home list. and Jeffrey Bodine, whose team withdrew prior to qualifying. Those are some of the apparent going homers. As Matt Kenseth comes out in the DeWalt Tools Ford, the defending Cup champion, had his second DNF of the chase at Atlanta. He also crashed out at Dover. So he's now 9th, 257 points out of first.
What a weekend he had at Atlanta last weekend, especially on Saturday. Won the IROC race and championship, $1 million, won the Busch race. And his interview when the engine let go in this 17 car in the Cup race, when they asked him about having engine problems, he said, let me tell you something, we don't have any engine problems. These are the best motors I have ever had in my life. And you know that once in a while you're going to have a problem.
23rd on Kenseth's first lap with a 27:31, right in and amongst the Roush group.
You know, you mentioned Roush. Jack Roush is one of the very few car owners right now. He's got 4 wins here at this track with his different teams, so they seem like they always fare well, at least out here at Phoenix.
He's going to pick it up on this second lap.
Good pickup.
15th quickest. And he has been ranked in the top 10 in points for 68 consecutive races. We know it'll at least be 71 by the time we leave Homestead.
Brendan Gaughan in the Kodak Jasper Engines Dodge moves on to the bubble spot, 38th, 27:81. That bumps Stanton Barrett to the house. Second lap for Brendan is quicker, picks him up to 35th, 27:63, and moves Ward Burton onto the bubble. So let me recheck here provisional land. Stanton Barrett, Ryan McGlynn, Jeffrey Bodine are headed home. They will be 3 of the 7 drivers that don't make this show. Here's Dave.
With Casey Mears. And Casey, did you expect more of a pickup on that lap? Are you pleased with that?
I was hoping that we were going to be a little bit faster, but gauging off my first lap, I was pretty pleased with the second lap because the first lap felt a little bit out of control. So it's a good run for the Target Dodge. It's going to be a good starting spot for us, and I think we got a good race car too. We ran race trim this morning. I'm excited about this weekend.
Guys, you confirm what you said. A lot of race trim this morning.
Joe Nemechek in the MB2 Army car. 4th at Atlanta. That's 5 top 7s in the last 7 races, and 3 of those were top 5 finishes. They have really lit it up to close out this season.
Well, I talked earlier when Jamie McMurray in the 42 car was out there, the last 5 races he has scored the second most points. Here's the team that has scored the most points in the last 5
races. 18th on his first lap with a 27:19. That will bump Ward Burton to a provisional.
If he can pick up right at 2.5 tenths, that'll put him up there in the top 5, and we've seen that with a lot of cars.
If you'll take a look right here, he's already 5th quickest, 4th going off into turn 3. If he can just hold it through 3 and 4, that's the key right now, is getting off of turn 4, back to start finish line. Looking good so far, guys.
He got his hands full, but it's going to be a good run for Joe. 3rd quickest.
Almost the front row, 26:93. He lacked 4/100ths of a second of the front row. Right now it's Ryan Newman pole and Brian Vickers outside pole. Nemechek 3rd. That's a Dodge and 2 Chevrolets.
And that bumps Ward Burton in the 0 car into provisional land.
The provisional situation a little uncertain because there are 2 cars that are fairly well up the owner points in the top 40, Todd Bodine and Kirk Shelmerdine, who don't have provisionals available. So it'll be a little while before we sort out all of the going homers. Randy LaJoie moves on to the bubble in the 98 car as Michael Waltrip's Napa Chevy, which finished 14th at Atlanta, comes out. 17th in the point standings for Michael.
Michael was 29th quickest earlier in practice at a 27:35. Spent the entire 2 hours pretty much working on qualifying trim.
Finished 5th here last year.
And this is the type of racetrack, I go back to Loudon, New Hampshire, that this race team has performed pretty well on. Let's see what Michael does on his first lap. 27:18, 19th quickest. That's about what Joe Nemechek ran on his first lap. So if Michael can pick it up a couple of tenths, he can maybe get up there in the top 8 or 10.
He's already picked it up almost 2 tenths over what he practiced at. So he's going to be pretty happy, I think, with at least the speed he's been able to gain. If he just works work his way up a little bit further up the qualifying order, it'd be real hard.
It don't look like it, though. Don't look very promising on the second lap. He's going to be quicker.
And you're right about Loudon. He qualified 4th up there, but the second lap is 5/100ths slower. So Michael is 19th. That has bumped Randy LaJoie out of the top 38, and he will hope for one of the 5 provisionals. And the 5-minute clock is running on Kirk Shelmerdine, who is 41st in owner's points, does not have a provisional available. And so the questionable cars, Mike Garvey, and we're also wondering about Kevin LePage and Todd Bodine, but it looks like they'll race on Sunday.
Todd's definitely going to be in. Michael, 5 cars basically go. Depending on what happens to Kirk Sherman, I believe he's going to be okay.
So Garvey's the question mark as Dale Jarrett comes out to make his run in the UPS Ford. 12th in the points. Finished 15th at Atlanta.
This racetrack has been awfully good to DJ, especially as far as race trim. 16 starts here. He won the race here in '97. In the last 6 races, he's had 5 top 10 finishes, and he won't be happy with that first lap. Puts him 38th quickest, but that will bump Tony Raines in the 51 car out of the top 38.
And I'm afraid that'll send Raines home. Excuse me. Yes, it will send Tony Raines home.
Guys, after Atlanta on Tuesday, DJ was over in Hollywood participating and portraying himself in the filming of the movie Herbie.
Herbie Rides Again, or
Fully Loaded.
Fully Loaded.
Fully Loaded.
DJ picks it up a little bit on that second lap, but good for 26 quickest, 27:31.
I think Ned was still driving when they filmed Herbie Rides Again. Herbie, not Hermie. Dave?
With Joe Nemechek right now. And Joe, it looks like you're on par here to have your best start here ever at Phoenix, but it's not as good as you wanted, is it?
No, I thought I could run a 70. I knew I couldn't run a 40, but I wanted to run a 70. And I told the guys, I said, if I pick the gas up right here and I pointed to a spot, I said, I'm going to run fast. I picked it up there, but I was a little bit too much out of control coming off the corner. Just track seems to be a little bit slick. You know, Ryan Newman had a great lap, and I didn't have anything to lose. You know, my whole Army team is performing well. We're on top of things. We're running well. We're going to have another great weekend here. I got to say hello to Andrea and the kids back at home. Get to do it alone out here this week, but man, this is great. We're running good, and I'm excited.
Joe making his 11th start here at Phoenix on Sunday, guys.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. on track in the Tide Chevrolet.
This team struggled in practice all day long. It looks like that first lap's only going to be good for 33rd quickest, but that will bump Brendan Gaughan in the 77 car into provisional land and puts Mike Garvey in the 75 on the bubble.
So Hamilton Jr. will be in the race. He won the Busch race here last year. And the question mark will be Garvey. If Garvey gets bumped out of the top 38, he goes home. And otherwise, either Mario Gosselin or Morgan Shepherd would go to the house.
Well, Bobby Hamilton picks it up a little bit on that second lap, up to 31st quickest, and that will give us 1 car to go. That was Johnny Sauter in the 09. He was 20th quickest in practice, so that's the guy that Mike Garvey will be paying very close attention to as he goes out to qualify.
And the way I look at my sheet here, which is unofficial, Gosselin will be out, and the final spot comes down to Shepherd or Garvey. Garvey right now is 38th. This car will be in the race with Johnny Sauter aboard the James Finch Miccosukee Dodge. If he bumps Mike Garvey, Garvey goes home. If he is slower than Garvey, Morgan Shepherd, the 63-year-old driver, goes back to Conover, North Carolina tonight.
Johnny Sauter was awfully quick, as we've seen with a lot of cars, Mike, down in the middle of turn 1 and 2. Looked like when he picked the throttle up, the car just really took off with him, and he's just not been able to recover from it. You can see right there, he's all over the racetrack. This first lap will definitely not be in the top 38.
And Larry, as loose as he was from the middle out, it may affect his second lap also, but it looks like he's trying to rebound and make an effort here to try to get this car in the show.
He is 43rd on the first lap, 27.75. He needs 14 100ths to bump Mike Garvey and not use a provisional. There you see the pace chase.
It's going to be close, real close.
38 is the magic number. You got to be 38 or better right there.
He's going to be in the top 38, I be.
He did it. 30th for Johnny Sauter, a 27:39. That will send Mike Garvey home, and Morgan Shepherd will get to race on Sunday.
Back at Phoenix International Raceway, where Ryan Newman has won his 4th consecutive pole, his 9th of the season. But did you think a 26:49 was possible, Ryan?
No, like I said earlier, I thought a 69 was good, or I thought a 69 was great, and then I realized it was just good after running that 49. And just got to thank everybody on, you know, at Alltel, Mobile One, Dodge, and Sony, and everybody at Penske Racing for all the hard work. Got a special text to win paint scheme this week, and just look forward to the rest of the weekend.
This is their 3rd track record in the last 4 weeks. Pretty incredible racing for Ryan Newman.
And those of you in college who are majoring in rocket science, start sending your resumes to these Nextel Cup teams. You never know. Here's how they line up. Newman, most poles in a season 3 years in a row. Know who the last guy to do that was?
DW?
Yes, sir. 1981, 2 and 3. Won the most poles 3 years in a row.
A lot of our chase for the Cup guys qualifying up there in the top 14 or 15. See Matt Kenseth there on row 8.
The interesting one right now is Kurt Busch way back in row 14 right there. He didn't have, I think, quite the qualifying effort he wanted, but this car always races well.
See a lot of the Roush cars right there in that area.
And Todd Bodine gets the, Scott Wimmer gets the last spot on time. So provisional land starts with Ward Burton down through Morgan Shepherd. 7 going homers. We named them earlier. There they are. Fellas will be disappointed not get to run on Sunday. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is coming up next, and you won't want to miss it. For all of us at Speed Channel, congratulations to the Rocket. Ryan Newman wins the Bud Pole again, new track record.